Dr. Jazz.
Man, thanks for finding the time, first of all. Really appreciate
Oh,
it.
my pleasure. Yeah.
I have you on so many records. And I was like, shit, I'll drop you a line. Let's see what's happening on your front. Because I wanted to start this talk with you as a band leader. I have quite some records of you as a band leader. And the last one, I was a little bit behind, but Aqua Puzzle kind of is like the last one I know. Like, what's happening there? I mean, have you been preparing something new or?
Well, yes, I am. Aqua Puzzle, I believe, was released in 2019 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That was my last one. And after that, of course, COVID hit, and then, just trying to get life happening after that and whatnot. But I hope to release a new album middle of next year. And I have a wonderful group in Tokyo that I've been working with now for several years.
Yeah.
So I'll be recording a bunch of new material with that.
So it's the same trio, basically, or?
No, it's a completely different group.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's a group I put together right before COVID, and then of
Ah,
course, of course, we couldn't really pursue it. But last 2 years, I've really been concentrating working with that group. So,
beautiful. Have you written original music for that one? I mean, I really
oh,
love
I've
your
got
compositions. Like,
Oh, yes, yes. No, I have enough original music for at least 3 albums now.
okay,
So, yeah, I'm constantly writing music. So,
yeah. Well, what's your process when writing? I listened today to the album with Joe LaBarbera and Dara Colas
oh, yes, yes, yes.
25 years ago, and there are some
Oh my
beautiful
God,
tunes
yes.
like
Thank you.
Crosslinks and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like, what's your process when writing? I wanted to ask you that because, like, your tunes are sometimes to me like some sort of soundtracks or something like that. They're driving. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but like, what's your process when composing?
Well, just a moment. Let me adjust my glasses. First of all, if I could answer that question, I think life would be a lot easier for me. But just in general, and I've been writing music since I was a teenager, and I have close to 100 works right now registered
Mm,
as published. So first of all, I try to approach now the way I write music is first and foremost I approach it as a pianist. There was a time I wrote music for quartets, quintets, larger ensembles, and stuff like that, but I've really been concentrating writing piano music
mm,
for myself. And first of all, do I enjoy playing it?
yeah,
You know,
that's yeah.
I'm very selfish now with regard to this. Do I enjoy playing my own music? And then as a jazz musician, because improvisation is the most
Yeah.
important thing to what I do, what kind of improvisation do I want to do? How do I want to solo? And a lot of times that's where I start when I write a piece. I say, what kind of solo do I want to play? What kind of
Interesting.
improvisation do I want to do? And then I start thinking about the composition that would lead itself to that. Because as a composer, I don't believe in just writing music and then say, let's improvise.
Yeah.
I need to know what the improvisation is about before I can do anything really good. And so I try to integrate the composition with the improvisation.
Mm.
And I a lot of times work backwards from the improvisation.
It's very. This is the first time I heard that actually. I mean, I've talked to so many guys, and usually it's like you said, we compose ahead and kind of have sections, and then either
Hmm.
we improvise on the sections or we go free improv or like. But it's quite
Right.
interesting your approach. I have to try it actually.
Well, in some ways, it's a break with the jazz tradition because we're so used to writing heads and then solo over the heads, and then we take it out. And that's a fine way to do it. It's a time-honored way to do it. And of course, I still write music like that. But because improvisation to me is a very personal thing, and composition too is very, very personal, I want to make sure that when I'm improvising, it sounds like I'm improvising on the piece that I wrote
Yeah.
instead of just playing over the chord changes. I need more there to tell me, to guide me. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up playing something that sounds like it might work on some other tune, you know?
Exactly.
So that's a realization I came to, I would say, oh, maybe in the end of the 80s,
Already.
mid
Okay.
80s.
Well,
Yeah. And the other thing, of course, was that, because of the age I am, we were heavily influenced by what came out of the free jazz movement in the 60s and 70s, you
mm,
see. Yeah. Um, when I was a teenager, people my generation, we had to learn everything from learning how to play kind of blue to Charlie Parker to fusion to free jazz. We had to cover all of it because they were all coming out. They were all alive at the same time, you know. So I've played a lot of free improvisation in my life.
really? I didn't know
Oh
that.
yes, a
Hmm.
lot.
Wow.
Most of it is not documented. I
Yeah.
usually don't play that in my own albums and stuff. But if you look around, I've done a lot of freeform improvisation.
Hmm.
But one thing I learned from that is that in freeform improvisation, it's even more important that you think like a composer.
Oh yeah.
You see, and if you're going to think like a composer, then you also have to set parameters for yourself about what kind of improvisation you're going to do. Otherwise, it just becomes random, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's always been the problem for freeform improvisation is how much discipline we're going to bring into it. And my choice, and I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but my choice has been to bring it in at the compositional level. So that's another thing that's really, changed my mind about how I want to be as a composer.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
important. Yeah. 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 I mean, I always, even if we do free improv, I usually have a head or a
Yes.
composition, and you want to improvise in those. That sets kind of the parameters,
Sure. Sure. Sure.
which
Yeah.
makes sense.
Sure. And that's really legitimate. I know a lot of really good
Yeah.
free improvisers who do that. Um, I don't necessarily think in terms of heads all the time. I actually think in terms of the building blocks for the improvisation.
Hmm.
Like, are there certain rhythmic kernels I want to use, or certain um, classes of, certain groups of pitches I want to use?
Yeah. Or intervals.
Or are there certain scales that I want to use? I think that the process of playing free improvisation is a constant battle to limit yourself.
Yeah.
How you can limit yourself without feeling hemmed in. What kind of, discipline, self-discipline can you bring to that? So that's kind of like a lesson that I learned, 20, 30 years ago, and I've been trying to get better at that.
That's so
But that's
important.
really informed the way I write all my music now, you
Oh,
know.
quite
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I would love to hear a more open album actually from you now, since you mentioned it.
I think many people would,
Yeah,
but
now you
just
intrigued me. I'm like, man, you should do that. Like, yeah, interesting. Kay, I wanted to ask you, like, you mentioned late 60s and early 70s. Like, what were you were still in Japan back then, right?
well,
Or
actually,
not?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. My
Okay.
father was there working on his PhD, and he brought the whole family over from Japan.
Okay.
So I was in Cleveland, Ohio from 5 to 12 for 7 years. And then I went back to Japan when I was
Oh,
12.
okay. But the
Yeah.
jazz, when did you meet jazz for the first time as a teenager, right? I guess.
Oh, well, growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, there was always jazz around me.
Mm,
You see, jazz, rhythm and blues, Motown, all that music was constantly around me because of where I was living in the city. And so I just absorbed it naturally, I think, is just part of what I think music ought to be. And so I went back to Japan, and when I was 15, I became very, very interested in contemporary classical music.
mm.
And my heroes were, people like Bartok. So, of course, And one of my teachers said, if you really want to appreciate contemporary music, you have to understand jazz.
Hmm.
So, and I've always been grateful for that word of advice. So, you know, I went to a record store. We had record stores back then, right?
Yeah.
Physical
Oh
vinyls.
man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I went to a local record store in a tiny city in Japan and went to the jazz bin and picked out a record and bought it. And it was Bud Powell Piano
Oh.
Trio.
Whew. Okay.
And that
Good start.
completely changed the way I thought about music because first of all, it sounded familiar. I had grown up with that sound in Cleveland, but then upon listening to it, I said, "Oh my God, this is so intricate and modern, and it's swinging so hard. And how on earth can people do this music?" So from that point on, I was mesmerized,
Hmm.
and I've remained that way now,
Yeah, yeah.
all
I
these
think it's
years.
like a
Yes.
disease, right?
Oh yes,
Once you
absolutely.
once you get infected, it's like okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
that's it.
Hmm.
Interesting. But
Yeah.
did you then go like, checked out what were the other pianists that you checked, like going to Keith
Well,
and Jason or
because I was living in a small town up in north of Japan, very, very few American jazz musicians came up to that area. So it was all based on records. But from Bud Powell, I quickly transitioned over to Bill Evans, and
Mm,
then from there to McCoy Tyner, and then from McCoy Tyner to both Chick Corea, Paul Bley,
mm,
Herbie Hancock, Keith Jarrett. Basically, it was all the pianists who were still in their 20s and early 30s at the time.
sure, sure.
And were really starting to change the texture of what jazz piano was all about, you see. And of course, coming out of a completely different tradition, or revolution actually, were people like Cecil Taylor.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
all that became part of the fabric that I was living in, during that time.
Mm. Then you returned to the States. I wanted to ask you,
Yeah, I
like,
came back to the States in 1975 to go to
okay,
grad school. Yeah, UC
okay,
Santa Barbara. Yeah.
yeah, and you connected like, I really want to ask you like your kind of involvement in the scene. I want to go later to. I'm a guitarist, so like
Okay.
I think I have all of your records with Gambale and
Oh, okay. All
your
right. All
connection with
right.
Alan.
Yeah.
But
Sure,
how did you
sure.
connect with Flora and Ayrton? I mean, that's quite an interesting
Yeah. Yeah.
project.
Well, I was living up in Santa Barbara, and Flora and Ayrto were going out on the road with a band called Matrix Nine. It was a very good group of rhythm section plus some brass players, and they were writing
Well,
very, very intricate music play. And the bass player for that group was a friend of mine. And Flora and Ayrto, they were looking for a keyboardist, and so they recommended me, and I immediately got called to do the gigs. So
mm.
that's how it started.
And you stayed quite a long time with them, right? Like a couple of
I
years.
stayed with them for 7 years.
Wow,
That was my first steady gig. Yes.
wow, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And then I watched today, like just to get in the mood with you, uh, the Frankfurt concert, which is the only kind of recorded on one I know with Allan Holdsworth. And
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, how did you end up in that band? I mean, first of all, I'm a huge fan, and his compositions
Hmm.
harmonically out of this world. Kind of two questions. How did you end up with Allan? And how did you cope with his tunes? Like Steve Hunt told me, like, he was like writing down kind of, the traditional
Sure.
jazz way of what those chords were that Allan was thinking. Like, what's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Allan story?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure how and why he contacted me. I'm not sure where he heard about me. Okay. Um, I do know, just if I recall correctly, he had been working with the amazing pianist Billy Childs at that time.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he did a recording. Billy played on one cut from a Tavakron, I believe.
Oh yeah,
And
possibly.
uh and Billy couldn't go on the road with him, and for some reason my name came up. So I think that's what happened. And as far as Allan's music, I went to his house and he literally taught me each tune, and I wrote them down.
Wow.
Um, I couldn't use just ordinary jazz chords because his music really wasn't based on that. So I had to literally write down each voicing that he used on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then from that, extract my own version of what the chord symbol might be. But his music, you really have to play off of his guitar voicings more than anything else. You can't just say, oh, that's an E minor 7, and
Yeah.
then play some E minor 7 licks. That's not the way his music works, you know?
Yeah.
So I really had to dig into his harmonic structures to begin to even understand, how his music works. And the Frankfurt concert was actually the first gig we played.
Really? Oh
So
man.
I had only rehearsed with them maybe 3, 4 times at that point. Yeah. And so, I was struggling just trying to make sense of everything.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I mean, Jimmy and Gary obviously helped. They were
Oh,
monsters.
yes,
Really
yes,
technical.
yes,
Well,
yes.
it's beautiful to hear you play with him because it's just like the lines he played that they were out of this world. I mean,
Oh, yes,
even
yes.
nowadays it's like so modern, and we're talking
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
incredible.
yes. Um, there were similarities, okay? I'm just going to say it that way. Similarities between some of the phrases he played and something that was coming out of the more modern phrasings, especially from sax players.
Yeah,
At the time, people like, say, Michael Brecker. So the idea, what we used to call polytonal construction, was very much embedded in the way Allan heard music from the get-go. So that was a point of reference for me that I could find a way into his way of thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I must have been. I mean, I transcribed many solos by him, and I'm
Hmm.
like trying to figure out all the time. Like, man, what are you playing? It's just like
But not
so.
just not
It's not
just the notes. He had a tremendous sense of
flow.
structure when
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
plays.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
each phrase almost like is a story.
It's like a horn player,
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So,
So beautiful. Yeah, and then
yeah.
legato technique. Like
Oh, yes, yes.
whew,
Amazing, amazing musician.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, what's your story with guitar players? I checked some of the records, and like this period of you from '86 to let's say '92.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think if one checks your calendar, must have been like insane because, there's El Di Meola coming up, then Frank Gambale, this long association.
Hmm.
How did then all these stories with all these guitarists happen, and especially staying so long with Frank also?
Um, well, I really don't know how it happened.
You were there, so
But
you were good
but
at that.
yes, first of all, I was in Los Angeles, and that's where a lot of the music originated. But I would surmise that at that time I was already heavily into multi keyboards, and of course, Frank and Al and these people they didn't want just the traditional pianist, so to speak. So I had enough gear so that I could fulfill the role of a multi-keyboard player, which was very important at the time for every band. But at the same time, I had enough of a jazz background
Mm.
so that, from harmonic and solo creating aspects, I could put together something that how would you say it, that allowed for a little bit more complexity and perhaps sophistication in the way the tunes were built. Um, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they hired me,
Mm.
um, and why I did so many guitar gigs during this time.
Yeah, yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
I listened to all those Frank records that I have, and it's Frank style is obviously really legato-ish and
very good. Yeah.
very horn. And then I listen to
Hmm.
your solos, and they're also very horn-like. I mean, many times. Obviously, you checked all the piano players, but were horn players also important for you? Like,
Yes, yes, I would say more than pianists.
yeah, right? Yeah.
The two the two single biggest influences for me as a jazz musician, and of course everyone my generation is going to tell you this, Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Now, for me, so much of jazz history, perhaps until the mid 80s, could be explained by which of these two you're going to take as your main influence, right? So, when I started playing with, Frank and Allan Holdsworth and Al Di Meola, my linear phrasing was coming a lot out of Coltrane
Mm,
because I was really, really into the way Coltrane thought. But at the same time, because I grew up with Miles as well, right? It wasn't just the Coltrane-based pentatonic structure that everybody
sure.
talks about. It was it was a combination of using pentatonic circles, if you will, or elements, but put together in a much more languid and chromatic kind of way that Miles Davis would use.
Mm,
So if it were horn players, right? A typical example of that would be like, say, Wayne Shorter when he was with Miles Davis.
yeah.
And certainly the sax player that I was with for a long time, Joe Farrell. See, I was
Mm.
Joe Farrell's musical director for several
I
years as
didn't
well.
know that, really.
Yes,
How was that?
yes,
How was
yes.
that like? I love Joe. He's
It was
one of the
wonderful. It
underrated
was,
cats.
oh yeah, it was wonderful. It was a quartet that had Tom Breckline on drums, and
Oh, I love Tom, man.
Tom and I were in Al Di Meola's band together, and Tom and I go way, way back.
He was
We
on your
started,
first album, actually, right? I
oh
think. Yeah,
yes,
with
yes,
Patitucci
and
and
that was because Tom at the time was, when I first met Tom, he was playing with Chick Corea's band,
exactly.
and essentially Chick Corea's bass player at the time, Bunny Brunel from France, and Tom and the trumpet player, Alan Vizzuti, and
Mm,
myself, the four of us had a group together. We put a
mm.
group together,
Wow.
and that's how our relationship started. Yeah.
Oh,
So, but the Joe Farrell group was Tom Breckline on drums, and at first it was John Patitucci.
really?
But then John got too busy, and we had another excellent bass player, Bob Harrison, came in, and that was a quartet we had for a while until Joe passed away.
Wow.
So so that's where I really, really learned what the contemporary quote unquote New York style of playing um, was like, you know.
Mm,
So all that was there when I started playing with all these guitarists, and I transferred a lot of that information onto synthesizer, for example.
yeah.
And not many people were doing that at the time.
No, no,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
interesting. Wow. Uh, so yeah, that makes sense why those guys are your or on Playroom. I mean, you kind of answered my question. I mean, Tom and but well, you mentioned Miles before, and
sure.
you said Coltrane and Miles obviously are up there.
Hmm.
Uh, How did you react when the Miles call happened, or how did it happen? I mean, did the manager contact you and playing with Miles?
The road manager for Al Di Meola was friends with the road manager for Miles Davis, and Miles lost both of his keyboard players at once. It was Adam Holtzman and Joey DeFrancesco. They both took leave. So my name came up, and frankly, when I got the call from the New York agency, I didn't jump on it right away.
Ah,
And
wow.
the reason for that, at that time, I had been on the road straight without a break for like 3 years. And I had gotten to the point where I said, I can't keep this up. I need time to develop my own music, you see. But then I thought about it and I said, no, you really can't say no to an opportunity to play with Miles Davis.
Sure.
So, I sent in, back then we had cassette tapes, so I sent in a demo tape of the kind of music I did. And 2 days later, I got called back and said, Miles wants me in the group. So that's what happened.
Where was the first gig? How was the first gig like? Or the
Well, we
first
went
tour?
out to New York and rehearsed there for a week,
Okay.
I believe. And then the first gig was in Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
Lisbon, I believe. That's how it started. Yeah.
How was that like for you, being on the stage? And I mean, how was the chemistry? Because you kind of caught the last boat of basically the last
Well,
group almost, right? Four left,
yes,
maybe. Yeah,
yes,
four left or
yes.
four left. Yeah.
Miles Davis's group um, is to use a metaphor that's been overused. It's a village. There's something very, very tribal about it.
Hmm.
And so newcomers are kept at an arm's distance until the consensus evolves that, you
Interesting.
know, it's okay for them to be in the group. So, you know, um, that was there for a little while, you know, but eventually we all became very, very good friends and colleagues. Especially the drummer Ricky Wellman
Yeah.
and myself, we were really tight.
Oh,
We got
really?
really,
Oh, wow. Okay.
really, really tight. Yeah, Ricky was my brother. We were really tight. So the band itself, when I left, we were tight. Um, but being on stage, there's so many levels of things that I can talk about. But first of all, it was the most nerve-wracking experience
I can imagine.
of my life, those 2 years. Um, and the reason for that is, Miles can be a very temperamental person, and he doesn't mince words. So he'll tell you exactly what he thinks about you and what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So you have to be prepared for that.
Can
And he's going to
imagine.
get right in your face and tell you. But having said that, Samo, I thought he was one of the kindest people I ever worked with.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was so nice to me. He was so supportive and really complimentary. Um, and I remember just the little words, little pearls of wisdom he would give me that still are with me today about
Oh,
how
can
to
you
think
share some,
about
please?
music.
I always love that.
Um, well, there's so many of them. Um, One night, this was in Paris, I believe. I was in my bed sleeping, 4 in the morning, and the
Oh,
phone rings, and I pick it up, and I'm going, yes. And without saying, yo, how are you doing, or anything like that, he goes, listen, when you come behind somebody, don't follow them, because you're gonna destroy it. Bye. Click.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I'm saying, okay, it's 4 in the morning in Paris, and Miles just told me what not to do. Okay. All right, that's fine, that's right. And of course I couldn't go back to sleep after that. But
Oh, man.
yeah. But little things like that, or
That's beautiful.
yeah, and an anecdote I like to use is on this one piece called Tutu,
Yeah,
which is one of
sure.
his big hits, and I was taking a solo on it. And I was playing a note that wasn't really in the harmonic, implication of the tune. And I was doing it on purpose. And next day, Miles comes to me in the airport and he puts his face right in me and says, why do you play a B on a G minor? And I said, Chief, I got that from you. And he looked at me and said, yeah, I do that too. And he walked away.
I love it.
He heard every note you played.
Wow.
He really, really knew. He heard every note you played. He could make references between what you're playing and everything else that had happened in all his bands in his years, right? Right, like he told me once, you play like Chick, you know, because he knew, because Chick was in his band and he knew the way Chick
Sure. Yeah.
was thinking. So, um, but it was those little things he would say that made me realize that, wow, this is Miles Davis. I mean, he's had Bill Evans and Herbie
Oh,
Hancock and
who,
Chick and
who? Yeah.
Keith and all these people in his band. I mean, he's yelled at John Coltrane, so I think it was just the awesomeness of those historical
Yeah, yeah.
connections sometimes that just sometimes I would think about and say, oh my God.
Mm,
Yeah. But I
interesting.
think for me, one of the most heartwarming episodes, and stop me if I'm
Oh no,
talking too
please.
long,
That's why we're here. That's why
when
I love
when
it.
Miles called me up to his hotel room. I think we were in Germany or something like that, and I thought I was going to get yelled at. But no, he just wanted to hang around and talk, and he picked up this horn and he played, and he said, "That's a lick that Dizzy taught me when I was 19.
Mm,
See, I can still play it." You know? Um, and then a few weeks later, we were playing an outdoor jazz concert. It was a festival, and I looked around, and there was Miles and Dizzy arm in arm, walking slowly away, talking. And I said, I wish I had a picture of that,
mm,
you know, because Miles, to the very end, Dizzy was his friend, his buddy, his teacher. And I could see that
mm.
so well in that one scene about, Miles giving, showing his love to the person that really formed him.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that really has stayed with me,
Oh, it's
to see
beautiful,
that.
man.
Yeah.
All these things that you mentioned. Yeah, that's like it's like a university there or three. For you, yeah, it's true. Like just 2 years with Miles. It's like finishing a PhD in I don't know.
Well, yeah, yeah, it was, and I'm so fortunate. I'm so grateful I had that opportunity.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, musically, you said he heard music that you played, and because sometimes you see videos and it's like he walks away and it's kind of, but musically, how much freedom did you guys have within those compositions and like what you could do or not? I mean, like, how much was it still led by Miles? And I'll put it like that.
That's a really, really good question. In terms of our individual creativity, what we did on solos and stuff like that, he left us alone.
Okay.
Now, if he didn't like what we were playing, then of course he'd tell us. Um, but overall, how we thought about it, how we structured things, what references we were drawing on, he left us alone. Okay.
Okay.
But when it came to the actual tunes, the playing of the tunes, the heads, the melodies, the rhythms, and stuff like that, um, he really wanted, I think, the stuff to not sound like traditional jazz. I think that was the most important thing for the time. When I was in his band, one of the people he really liked was the artist formerly known as Prince.
Sure.
So Prince's way of putting music together, especially his rhythmic concepts, right? Um, and at that time, for example, a lot of that stuff was coming out of Minneapolis,
Yeah.
and we used to call it the Minneapolis sound. I think it was Minneapolis, but
I think
anyway,
so. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
Jam and Lewis were the two producers that, for example, were working with Janet Jackson and stuff like that, Rhythm Nation, that kind of sound. Miles was heavily influenced by that.
Mm.
So I think he wanted the group to always look more towards that kind of really, really tight contemporary urban sound. Okay. So in terms of ensemble work, we were very, very tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting the hits together, me getting all my patches together, my sounds together, and all that. Yeah, we were very, very tight. And of course, Ricky Wellman, the drummer, he invented the go-go beat with Chuck
Mm.
Brown and the Soul Searchers out in D.C. So that was also a very, very central part of the sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, he achieved that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So it was a combination of utter freedom and utter discipline.
Which is good. I mean, that's
Yes, it is. It kept us on our toes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Interesting. Yeah, must be amazing. I always, when I talk to people who played with, when you get to play with your heroes, that's like,
Yeah,
it's like this fear. I got to play with some people I really admire, like Paul McCandless from Oregon and all these guys.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I remember the first gig, I was like, shit, man, what am I doing on stage with these guys? And then you relax and like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
be yourself, and it's gonna be okay. It's
Yeah, you you
funny.
you reach that point where all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, we're just a bunch of musicians
Exactly. Yeah.
playing music. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
all the other stuff is away from stage, away from music.
Yeah.
But once the first tune starts, we're in this together, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. How did Playroom then happen? You mentioned Tom and John and
Hmm.
Bob,
Sure.
which kind of makes sense now since you played with Joe together.
Yeah.
But where did the main impetus come for you to become a band leader? Did you lead bands already before?
Oh,
Or
yes, I've
you
been
did? Okay.
leading bands since I was in my early 20s,
Oh, already. Wow.
you see. But there was a sax player I worked with, a person named Eddie Harris.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh man, I love
I
Eddie
worked
Harris.
with Eddie for a long time.
Really?
And when I was still in my mid 20s, I told Eddie, I'm thinking of maybe doing my first recording and, getting out there. And he said, don't do it. Because if you start becoming a leader now, you're going to miss out on all the opportunities to learn as a sideman.
Mm.
People aren't going to call you anymore, and you're not going to be able to move ahead. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Eddie's right. Because I had already seen a lot of people, talented people, become leaders too early. And because of that, they just didn't go through the process of training with other people to learn some very, very basic things,
Mm.
you know? Um, so that's the reason why I said, you know what, Akagi, don't become a leader now. So even though I led all my bands, I was playing live, a lot of bands. In terms of releasing my own work, I specifically waited until I was 40.
Wow.
And that's when Playroom happened.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Playroom was kind of like a snapshot of the various things I was pulling together at the time, which was a kind of acoustic fusion, if you will, and also the straight ahead tradition. I was trying to bring those two together, in my own awkward way. But that's what Playroom was.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, most people, I guess, know you from fusion type of playing. I'll put it like that.
Sure.
But
Sure.
then you've played. How did all those straight head gigs happen for you? Because I saw you played with Freddie Hubbard and
Hmm.
Art Pepper and Charlie Hayden, and just the list goes on. I think you played with
Yeah.
all the greats basically. Like, how
Yeah.
did that
Yeah.
straight ahead?
Well, when I was in my 20s and 30s, there wasn't this big distinction
Yeah.
between fusion and straight ahead. People who played really good straight ahead also played fusion. And the really good fusion players, the quote unquote, we didn't even have a word fusion back then.
Yeah, I hate
But
that
the
word anyway.
really
But
good
yeah,
fusion players, we're talking, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, Joe Zawinul, all these people, they were monster straight ahead players, first and foremost.
mm,
So, fusion for me, and I think for a lot of my generation, were natural extensions of straight ahead playing. It was straight ahead playing, but with new influences like coming out of rock, funk, electric music, all
mm,
that was starting to come together. You know, I really, really doubt that even Miles Davis, when he was doing Bitches Brew or In a Silent Way, he was thinking, I'm going to do something new that's not jazz. I don't think he was thinking that at all. He was thinking, okay, I'm tired of doing the traditional stuff. What can I do that leads naturally to it? Because, when Miles makes conceptual jumps, it's never disjointed. It's never
mm,
unconnected. It's always continuous.
yeah,
The continuity is always there, within Miles. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about him. You know, they think that someone who played Still by Starlight can't possibly do Bitches Brew.
Yeah, but you
But
see
if
the
you,
quintet, how it developed, right? The last
but you
stages of the
see
quintet, it's like,
exactly. You look,
whoa, opening up and, yeah,
you
yeah,
look at the historical development of the way he did that music. Said, of course, that's where he's going to end up. You know,
yeah,
yeah. So I think that's the way we thought about fusion. You know, in the '80s, and so a lot of the people um, around me, you know, were using people from both camps because there wasn't that kind of division. You know,
mm,
yeah.
interesting, yeah, like, not many people, yeah, actually, now when I think about it, yeah, your generation, all of you guys did it, actually,
Yeah, yeah. It was after
like,
us when fusion became
exactly,
established as a genre that it
exactly.
started getting a little different. Yeah.
Exactly. When did you? I saw you played with Charlie Hayden. When did that happen? Like, what was the occasion?
I had the opportunity of playing with Charlie only a couple times
Ah,
actually. I mean, I knew him, but once was a piano trio concert that I did in Santa Barbara with Charlie Hayden and Ayrton Moreira.
oh, really?
It was an
Oh man.
amazing experience.
Oh, that should have been recorded. Oh
Oh
man.
yeah,
Oh,
and because Ayrton Moreira, this is what people don't really, he is an incredible free form improviser,
sure.
right? And he developed that in, say, in Brazil with Hermeto Pascoal. So he was completely used to that language. And of course, Charlie's coming out of playing with Ornette Coleman and Keith Jarrett. So we were playing some standards and some of my stuff. And it just came together like this. And all of a
Mm,
sudden, I found myself playing. Wait a minute, I don't sound like me. I sound like Keith Jarrett or Paul Bley or one of those people, you know, that because that's the influence. That's how much power Charlie Hayden has. He forces you gently, very, very gently, to play in a completely different way
mm,
because his bass lines are so different from anything that you would have experienced, you know?
yeah.
And he was a super, super wonderful guy and a wonderful teacher and a really, really warm and empathetic person. So, you know, and another time I played with him somewhere else. I forget where it was,
Oh man.
but yeah, that's
Ayrton.
I bring up Charlie because I think that was one of the most incredible experiences I ever had to play with him.
I can imagine. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
just, just his use of space.
Oh yes,
Even if it's free and swinging, it's just like
always, and just that
amazing.
presence he has. He can play one note, and you say, "Ah, Charlie," you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
with Billy Higgins, like, I just love the connection with
Oh
Billy, man.
yes,
That's
yes,
insane.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
like
yes.
beautiful. What about Freddie Hubbard? Like, what was?
I only played with Freddie, I think, a couple of times.
Oh,
Once
okay.
was a recording, and another was, I think it was Dizzy Gillespie's 70th birthday or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, our paths crossed, you know, several times, but I think those were the two times I remember playing with
Hmm.
him. Yeah,
Yeah, it's incredible.
monster,
Oh man, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
totally. Yeah,
Depends which stage of his life someone caught him, I guess. Like when it's
exactly. Yeah,
completely
yeah.
different,
Towards
but
the end, it was a little difficult,
but
you
he
know.
still had the chops when he won it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that's
Oh
incredible.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Kay, what's happening for you? Like, are you still going on the road or playing gigs? Like, any plans of coming to Europe actually still one day, or that's getting
Oh, I
heavier,
would
right?
love to. I would love to. I just haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah,
Um, as you know, for 27 years, I was a professor of music at the University of California, Irvine,
yeah, absolutely.
and I retired from that 2 years ago. So during that time, you know, I didn't really, you know, have the wherewithal to put together a constant performance career.
Sure.
Although what I did was every opportunity I could, I was always going back to Tokyo and playing gigs there and, um, uh, getting bands together with much younger musicians, you know.
That's great. Yeah.
So that's what I continue to do. I would say, you know, Oh, right now I'm done. I'm playing maybe like 35, 40 concerts a year, something like
That's
that.
nice.
And
Yeah,
that's a good pace for me at my age.
definitely.
And I'm always writing music, and I just played a gig in LA a couple nights ago. So I have a great trio in LA that I've had for 30 some years. The bass player Derek Olds, or Darius Oleszkiewicz.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And the drummer Jason Harnell. And we've been together now for like 35, 40 years, something like
Really?
that.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
beautiful, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I know Darek. I mean, obviously he's played with Peter Erskine and all
Oh
these guys,
yes,
and yeah,
yes,
he's such a
yes, yes.
monster player.
Monster, monster.
Beautiful, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope you would make it one day to Europe to
I hope
see us.
so. I hope so too. It's been a long time since I've been to Europe, so yeah.
Like from what, 2000s or 90s or
Well, I
later.
haven't been to Europe to perform, but I believe in 2000, was it 2010 or 9? I taught in Montreux, Switzerland
Oh, okay,
for a month to a whole bunch of University of California students, and we
okay,
took trips down to the jazz festival and stuff like that. So I did that for a few years.
okay.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, it's getting harder now in
it
Europe
is.
also after COVID.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh
I
yes,
mean,
yes, yes.
insane. It's changed so much,
Hmm.
man.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, you know, I hope to see the new album coming out soon, and
Sometime next year, as soon as it
yeah,
comes out, I'll send you a link
send me a
so you
link,
can.
please.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I'll let you know when this is out and everything.
Okay. All right. All
And
right.
I'll leave you a nice what is that? There you have an afternoon now or something like that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Samo.
Thank you too, and
Thank you.
it's really nice talking to you. And stay strong.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
You too. Bye.
Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Ciao, ciao.